Oh my goodness, what a day with technology. Welcome to my live. If you were on my previous living stream, then apologies for the little mix up here. We're gonna go live on my phone instead because it's beautiful quality, and why not? So here we are. Crazy. Okay, let's bring you up to a better height. Welcome, my name's Anna, and if we've never met before and this is your first time watching a video, I'm a travel content creator. I'm also a digital nomad, and I've primarily traveled around Europe and Canada. So those are kind of my two specialties. And today I wanted to do a live Q&A to answer some of your questions you've been asking, as well as share an announcement that if you don't follow me on my Instagram or Instagram stories, then hello, welcome. I have some exciting news to share, which I love that there's a community behind this now to share these exciting things from. So if you have any questions about this digital nomad lifestyle, what's going on, how you can do it yourself, how to solo travel, I love that you're saying where you are from. So hello from France. Thanks for sharing that. Ask your questions in the live chat. I also asked my Instagram audience and my YouTube audience ahead of time for some questions. So we're going to go through and answer those also. Again, my name's Anna, and I am a travel content creator and digital nomad. And these two things are something I've decided to change in the last 2 years of my life. I've been a freelancer for a long time, but I guess the term digital nomad means I take that freelancing work and I travel with it. And it's been really exciting to solo travel and to meet new people and to share these passion points with others. And I love giving tips and recommendations for folks to travel Europe, to travel Canada, to stay more organized when you're on the road, and to do all the things in between. So again, you can either share where you're watching from. It's so fun to see an international audience, as well as ask any questions you have in the chat box. So we've got France and Canada representing my two favorite continents so far. I've never traveled to Africa or Asia or South America, so those are on the list, and so is Australia. So we're gonna get into it. Wow, high five people, and apologies for the lack of a title and description. That'll all get fixed after. Technology was just not on my side before this. Nonetheless, let's dive in. So some of you asked some questions on Instagram, and I thought we could answer them here. I didn't think so. This is the whole point of this. But there's one thing that you probably are excited to know about. I don't know. Maybe we'll answer a few questions, then we'll share the news, and then we'll go back and answer some more questions. So one of the questions was my favorite airline to travel with. And this one's a bit difficult because as I learn how to slow travel, I'm actually attempting to fly less. And it's not completely wiped from my travel itinerary, but definitely taking into consideration my carbon footprint. And if there's a choice to either drive, bus, or train, I'm trying to implement that more, and that's important to me. But back to the question is favorite airline. I am a fan of WestJet. It probably is my top airline and the one I have flown the most. It is one of the, basically in Canada, there's two top performing airlines. There's Air Canada and WestJet, and I just feel like WestJet feels like home. Their service is always amazing. They're super friendly, understanding. I've had flights canceled from them, connections canceled from them, and they're always making arrangements for me to get to my next destination. They've got a great rewards program. They partner with great other airlines. So I would say WestJet is my favorite airline. And another question someone had is hostels, hotels, couch surfing. What's my favorite type of accommodation? And this is specific to maybe the area or reason I'm in a location. I would say my most experienced is hostels. That's often due to budget. But the thing with hostels too that's so lovely is you often have a cooking facility. Not always, some are better than others, but you often have a cooking facility where you can put a couple things into a fridge so you can have breakfast at the hostel. You can make yourself a cup of coffee, and it's the best way as a solo traveler to engage with other people and make new friends. Does this always happen? Completely not. Sometimes, personalities just don't mesh together. I have had uncomfortable situations at hostels. Overall, I have felt very safe, And you have to know how to kind of hold your own ground should someone make you feel uncomfortable or trying to engage in conversation more. So I would say hostels, especially, they're not like dingy and gross. Most of them are actually super cool, modern, and edgy. And a recommendation, if your budget fits, is actually staying in a private room in a hostel, because then you get that social interaction, you get access to the kitchen and the common spaces, but you get the privacy of your own space. So this is something kind of as I plan my next bigger chunk of travel, I'm hoping to have the budget to maybe do private rooms and hostels. So I have the space to do a little bit of work, but then should I want to engage or interact when I'm taking a break from work, I can go down to the common room. I've never tried couch surfing, primarily because I'm a female. I'm not quite there yet. I've got to build up a little bit more confidence. I've heard really great things. I've heard not great things. Mostly male friends have done couch surfing and love it and recommend it. And it's really meant to be this cultural exchange, language exchange. So if the host is in it for those reasons and you are as well, then I think it's like the most beautiful platform. But unfortunately, I'm a bit nervous that the exchange won't be for those reasons. Hotels are fantastic too, and fortunately in Canada we don't have a lot of hostels, so it is a bit difficult to travel across the country in hostels. So hotels are great. I'm doing my best to kind of jump on this points reward system. I'm not staying in a lot of I'm not staying in a lot of hotels, and you have to spend a lot to redeem those rewards, but nonetheless, like staying at Holiday Inns or the IHG different partner chains. So that's Holiday Inn, it's the Intercontinental Hotels, and they're part of another couple few. So I always look for those hotels kind of first. You get late checkout, sometimes free Wi-Fi. So I would say hostels is my number one. Airbnb though is also one of my favorites, and that's due to the fact that you're supporting a local family or couple or business. It's something I never really thought about that way, but really you are likely supporting a local company. Even if it's a property management company, you're like, it's local to the area controlling those buildings. So yeah, it depends where I'm going. Friends is probably number one because it's free. And that's one of my favorite things because you get to like interact with your international friends. So that was a question of hostel, hotel, or couch surfing. What's my favorite accommodations? Hello, if you just joined, you can ask any questions in the live chat and I will answer them below. Some of you submitted questions ahead of time, so we're just going through them. How many countries have I traveled to? I have traveled to 23 countries total. I just actually realized in the last month or so that I had traveled to 3 additional as a kid. So how many have I traveled to as an adult is probably about 16 or 17, but I did live overseas in Europe as a kid, so we kind of check marked a few extra countries. And most of it is Europe. So funny enough, I've actually never been to Mexico, and I only include that because as a Canadian, like Mexico is probably after the US is like one of the top international destinations. So one day that's on the list. My opinion about India, I don't really have any specific opinion. I think I have hesitation going just due to crowding. I think I get overwhelmed in these kind of large group crowding situations, so I'm a bit nervous of what I've heard about that. Otherwise, I would love to go to experience the food and the richness of the spices and the history. Like I feel like there's so much deep history in the architecture and the culture and the tradition that I would like to go to India. And I do know that you need a visa to go there. It's quite easy to get, but I've seen online quite a few people get stuck by not getting the visa before they try and enter India. So that's a big thing to think about. What's my next destination? Well, fun, you ask. I just recently booked flights to go back to Europe. I don't know exactly where. I will definitely be in London for a few days and possibly back into the Balkans and Italy. So those are kind of 3 things. There's sort of some things in the pipeline about my schedule. I do want to explore the Balkans more. So I loved Montenegro and Albania, like such surprising countries in terms of, oh my God, the landscape is so beautiful. It reminds me a lot of actually living in Vancouver here in Canada. Being by the sea and the mountains, the people are so friendly. The language is definitely difficult to learn, and I unfortunately didn't really make an effort to catch on to it. But yeah, I would like to do more Eastern Europe. So also going into Bulgaria, into Hungary, that's kind of on my bucket list. Czech Republic, it's gonna be cold, but we'll explore it. So yes, more Europe vlogs. I actually do have about 4 or 5 Portugal vlogs that will eventually come out. And then I do have, I think, 3 more Malta vlogs and 3 Montenegro vlogs. So I've got lots of content kind of backed up. So if you're excited to see more, there will be more coming out. And yeah, there'll be more. Okay, I gotta remember to breathe between talking here. So the announcement I wanted to share, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, you definitely should. My Instagram is @AnnaDuke. I'm gonna add that in the chat here right now. This is my Instagram handle because I kind of share more like day-to-day things going on as being a content creator and being a solo traveler. I'm currently in between trips, but I am doing small trips. This weekend I'll be away on a little trip. And it's kind of a nice way to see behind the scenes what's happening. I'm not always every day go, go, go. And I think that's important to remember. If you're not on a vacation and you're more full-time travel, not every day is so luxurious and intense. So join me on Instagram because a big announcement is that I am officially monetized on YouTube, which I am so excited about. And I hope the YouTube, rules don't take that down right now. It's been really, really exciting. It's been over a year since I posted my first travel video. In May, I reached 1,000 subscribers, and everyone probably thought I monetized then, but I actually didn't because you are required to reach 4,000 public watch hours in the last 365 days. What does that mean, Anna? It means like every day it's switching. So whatever period of those last 365 days is, I have to have 4,000 watch hours. And due to one of my videos that went viral last year, it was like the peak of it was here and that 4,000 was like here. So it kept dying off of those watch hours. I'm not sure how to explain it better visually with my hands, but it happened last Thursday night. Or a week ago. Yeah. So last Thursday night, I'm really excited. I was in a hotel room by myself when it happened. So very anticlimactic. I was in the middle of a work event, but that's okay. I'm so stoked. And I just want to say a big thank you to anyone who's watched, liked, engaged with these videos. It's definitely a community effort. And I can't wait to see how I can use this platform to engage with more people, help give travel tips. I do have intentions of using this channel to also give back in different ways and deciding what that looks like depending on life events, timeline, etc. But I hope to use it for good in every capacity I can. Yeah, that's exciting news. I feel legit now. I feel like I'm a real YouTuber. Like when people ask you, what do you do for work? And I say, oh, I'm a YouTuber. They're like, no, what do you actually do for work? And I feel like I can now say that. So let's dive a little bit into more travel questions I had. So someone on Instagram asked, can you please explain eSIM cards? And can I do a video on this subject? Thanks, Rob. Thanks everyone who's been commenting. Yes, I'm really excited. So eSIM cards, if you're not familiar with them, they're like one of my top travel tips. If you have a newer phone, so I know for the iPhones, you have to have an iPhone 10 or above. I'm not familiar with Androids. You basically, instead of getting a physical SIM card, so instead of that little microchip, you have an eSIM inside your card, and you can flip between your local one and the international one you find. So last year I had a new phone with me that was compatible, and I purchased an eSIM for 90 days because I knew I would be in Europe for over 2 months, and it was amazing. Every country I went to, it automatically changes to the best connection and the best network. So it's roaming over multiple networks. You don't have to worry about that little card. I remember sometimes on the plane, I would be like switching my Canadian to my European, trying to reload the card. So eSIMs are a great way for a certain duration of time if you need more data because you're someone who's working or doing digital nomad work. You can also have a less data, so do a more budget-friendly option, but you just want to know that you have data backup for maps, for contacting your family, and in case of emergency. I have a few friends who travel with absolutely no data, and first off, I think one of them, she knows who she is, and I am amazed that they get away with this. And I guess for me, I am trying to live a life a bit more offline, so when I'm out of a Wi-Fi zone to have my data off and not constantly be on my phone. But the flip side of that is like, I kind of want that safety net just in case. I'm also super directionally challenged, so having Google Maps is kind of a must for me. So yeah, eSIMs is a great way. After this video, will share a link in my description below, and all my videos, I share a description, and you can get $3 off your first eSIM. If you're Canadian and you're going to the US as well, this is a way cheaper option than activating your phone plan to be a US plan for the day. So let alone just the US, it would be worth it. I'll try and do a video on the subject too, about kind of like my top tips about how to do it. The company I use has amazing tutorials to actually like go into the nitty gritty technical details, but I can definitely make a video about eSIMs soon. Okay, put a coffee emoji in the chat if you're drinking coffee. This is like leftover from this morning. Let's keep going through these Instagram questions. So someone said, love the growth you've seen. If you don't mind answering, what do you freelance about for a living? Thank you so much for the kind comment. It's been a fun growth journey. So I freelance, the best way to explain it is I help small businesses with their general administration. So that falls under a little bit of marketing, a little bit of bookkeeping, a little bit of admin, and a little bit of like technical support. So I have 3 clients that I work for, and each one's kind of a different industry, and I've had them for years. So I'm not the best resource to dive into how to find freelance work now, but I know there's amazing websites like Fiverr or Upwork. If you have a specific skill set as a freelancer, take that skill set and apply it. And you can even gain one client or you can gain one project. And that's kind of how you can start to trickle into this freelance work. I've been really fortunate that all 3 of my clients have come from personal connections to start with. And yeah, it's kind of, some are kind of build your own hours, some are work dependent or workload dependent. So most of it's bookkeeping right now, which I love. I'm obsessed with numbers and I love organization. And sometimes it's kind of like whatever the company needs at the time or time of year. So year end, month end, I'm always a little bit busier. But yeah, it's just, I'm really fortunate that all 3 of them are comfortable with me working on a different time zone. I'm pretty communicative with my freelance clients, that I am someone who's traveling, because I don't work the 9 to 5 of where they are. So I know some folks work remote jobs where they work 9 to 5, and when they're overseas, they continue that 9 to 5 in Western Canada time overseas. I don't do that. I work 9 to 5 over there. So it's not always 9 to 5 either. Like for sure, I work whenever I want, which sounds really flexible, but another question that got asked on Instagram was, how do you organize your work schedule? And I thought this was a really great question to touch on, because although I have insane flexibility and kind of choose my own adventure, the flip side of that is my schedule is so wide open. I have to be quite self-disciplined to make sure that I'm getting the tasks done by the deadlines, or dividing my time equally between clients, making sure that if I'm traveling one day, the next day is maybe a work day. The hardest part when traveling is not to have FOMO, especially when you're staying in a social environment like a hostel, making sure that you say, okay, it's been nice talking to you, but like I do have a commitment to go do. I have work to go do and I need to like do it. And some people are like, oh, just do it tomorrow. You know, you can choose your own schedule. And it's about committing to that. Also, my freelance is my content creation. So I myself consider myself a client to myself. That was a lot about me, but I am my own client, and making sure I have time to edit my YouTube videos, build content creation, work on my newsletter, pitch myself to brands. So there's a lot of behind the scenes that happens, just like this YouTube live, making sure I'm advertising it before it happens. So that's what I do for a living. It's kind of a mix. I've never been someone who's had a consistent income since I graduated university. I've always had fluctuation in my income. So freelance life isn't so new to me. Being completely remote, I've carried freelance work with full-time jobs before, but I'm really lucky that all my clients are supportive, and yeah, they've been really fantastic. So if they're watching, thank you. I feel like I talk so fast, but I'm so excited about all these topics. if you have any questions about digital nomad, traveling, if you missed it before, I shared news that I got monetized on YouTube, which feels so cool. I feel so legit. Yeah. So another question from Instagram is, what do you do to stay motivated without coworkers or an office as a digital nomad and freelancer? And this one's a hard one. So someone just commented, as a freelancer, you're your own boss, which feels nice, but you also have to be super responsible. You hit the nail on the head. Like, you are your own boss, so there's no one coming at you. Even if you have client relations or you have someone that's like overseeing your work, you have to like sit down at the desk every day. You don't kind of have that, I think it's called body doubling is a term that's kind of trendy right now. You don't have that coworker sitting like right next to you in the cubicle working super hard, where you feel that energy and you're like, okay, I should really focus in and dive into my project. Something that's helped me is like work dates while traveling or being on my own. So in Albania, I was really lucky to be living with just one traveler, and she was really respectful that she knew I worked content creation and like online work. So we would kind of plan it. She's like, oh, I want to relax and watch my TikToks. You know, she didn't have any work to do. And I said, okay, you watch TikTok for an hour, I'm going to work for an hour. And she would sit there, and like, I knew I couldn't go to the beach until I was done that hour of work. So finding people to kind of parent you, be your coworker in the moment, even if they're not doing the same work, is a really fantastic way to kind of dial in. Friends as well. So like, hold yourself accountable. If you say, I have a project to do, and you obviously don't want to tell your client that, oh, can you hold me accountable to? It's like, well, you should be getting it done. They're paying you. But ask a friend, just say like, can you hold me accountable that by 2 p.m. this afternoon, I should be done XYZ. And the thing is, I'm a pretty trustworthy person and I'm loyal. So I'm like, okay, I told them that, I have to commit to it now. Like, I have to pursue this. So that's like the best way to stay motivated. I also often, like almost every day, do this kind of stopwatch kind of time. I think the Pomodoro Method is a theory on it, but I think that's like 25 work, 5 break. If anyone knows the Pomodoro Method, you can comment it in the chat. But I often do 45 minutes work, 15-minute breaks, or an hour work, 15-minute breaks. So this helps me to break down expectations for myself of how much I have to work, especially if I have a big project that's multiple hours, instead of getting overwhelmed. Like, editing a YouTube video, honestly, feels so overwhelming when you start, because you have to go through all your content. How are you going to put the story together? But if I say, okay, 1 hour, I just need to edit for 1 hour, 45 minutes, and then I get a break, it really helps me be like, I can totally do that. Like, I sit down, I'm so hyper focused, headphones in, the timer goes off, I set a 15-minute break timer. I often like to do chores, so either tidying up my room, you know, cleaning up downstairs, whatever it is. Even in hostels, it's like, just take a lap, just stand up, get off the devices, stretch a little bit, and then you're back on it once that 15-minute timer's up. So that's one way when I'm self-disciplined that I try and dive into work. Or if you have 3 hours window, you've got 3 work sessions and 3 break sessions. That's one way to stay motivated. Cool. Any other questions on that? Feel free to pop them in the chat there. So I did on my Instagram story also this, it's called NGL, like I think it's called Not Gonna Lie app, which is so funny because you can submit questions anonymously. Some of them were kind of odd, so I don't know if it's bots or the algorithm coming in, but I don't think they were real humans. Like one of them said, am I gonna get a tattoo? I have no intentions of getting a tattoo. Maybe one day. I saw there was like these temporary tattoos. They last like 10 to 12 months. I'd probably be more interested in that just to test it out also. But no major intentions. I just don't see the value in my money in it, I guess. Another question I got asked was, how many kids do you want to have? And an even number. I'm not in a place where I want children right now, but if I do have kids, it's either 2 or 4. So depending on where I end up, who I'm with, who my partner is, what our lifestyle is, definitely an even number. I don't want anyone to be left out, and I might be saying that as a middle child. Someone just put in ChatGPT in the comments, and I use ChatGPT. I do use it, but I use it as like, you know, that like first brain, the first draft, when you need just like some ideas. So I use it as a first draft Sometimes I forget about it though. I forget AI exists and I'm like, oh, this is taking me so long to like form the idea. And then I'm like, oh yeah, ChatGPT could help me. So yeah, it's interesting. There's so many AI versions out there of, there's like video editing AI, website development AI, and part of me is a bit resistant to dive into what it all can do. It's a bit too much for me technology wise, and I still want to make sure I have the backup skill set. That's something that's important as well, as like making sure I know how to do it just in case ChatGPT doesn't do it well. So that's something to consider. I also have if you go on my channel, I have this, we're going on a tangent here. I have this video of me saying I'm going to shave my head, which is from 4 years ago. So if you see, my hair is actually quite long and I'm debating cutting it again and like doing a donation. So what do you think? Should I cut it? It's like Pippi Longstocking now. Also, like considering that I might have a backpack traveling this next adventure, I'm wondering if I should just chop it off. It'll grow back. That's the thing. I don't really care, but we'll see. Okay, back to questions. Have you ever watched Harry Potter? Yes? Question mark. Like as a kid, but I'm not a Harry Potter. I've never read the books. I don't even think I've seen past the 4th movie, so kind of. Do your parents give you money to travel as well as your digital nomad work? The answer is no. My parents do not give me money. However, they are super supporting me by giving me a place to live when I am not on the road or traveling for work-related things and I'm kind of in between trips. So I'm super, super fortunate to have a base that I can come back to. And that does make a lot of this possible, and it's helped me to make a transition from full-time work into freelance work into building my own business, my own content creation. So they are huge supporters of this and I'm very lucky. And I know it's not a situation everyone is in, but do I receive like a paycheck from them? No. I try and do chores instead. How did I pay for my cruise? Well, it's a personal question. It was a gift to me. It's the best way I can put it. It was a family trip. So that's how I paid for it. In the future, it would be super cool to work with a cruise company. I'm a little bit amazed by just how like this little universe floats on the water. And the company we were with, we went with Holland America. I was quite impressed with learning about how they take water from the ocean, they clean it, they take the salt water, and then like dirty water they filter on the boat and they send it back into the ocean. So I feel like it's quite regenerative. I don't think that's the right word though. But you know, there was recycling and they were like reusing things and there wasn't a lot of plastic on board, and I was quite impressed with that. Like it's definitely hitting the carbon footprint a little bit higher, but I'm curious to see in the coming years how maybe some of the cruise ships become like more net zero. And I'm sure that, I mean, you know, there's that whole like some countries or airports are trying to be net zero by 2030, 2040. So I'm sure cruise ships will follow in line because it's also a marketing tactic, I do believe. I'm like super supportive of us trying to save the world and doing the little things we can individually, but then also as a bigger globalization, what changes do we need to make? And yeah, that's a whole other topic I suppose we could go into. Stay focused, Anna. Okay, we got 2 other questions from this anonymous question box. What was your favorite show when you were a kid? I feel like I didn't ever watch cartoons. I was never into cartoons, and I'm still not into like animation movies or TV shows. I remember watching Oprah as a kid. I liked Oprah a lot, not when they were serious topics, but the fun episodes. I watched Amazing Race since like I was in grade 6. I liked all the reality TV shows, and I still do. And then this, I swear a bot must be asking this question. Would you leave your SO, so significant other, for a celeb? First of all, I don't have a significant other. And second of all, I would only leave him for a celeb if the celeb was like the person, not the image of the celebrity or the money. Like that, I would never hang out with someone or leave them if they weren't cool themselves. So like they have to be, I can't get the ick from a celeb. Just because you have money doesn't mean you have to be cool. Like I have to enjoy your personality and dive into you. So interesting question there. Okay, we got one last Instagram question. So if you have any burning ideas that you want answered. I'm so here to also help, like, I'm thinking of doing XYZ. How can I get there? Or I want to plan a trip. I want to solo travel. How do I start doing that? How do you stay organized? All those bits and bobs I can support you with. So one question was, how do you bring an idea or plan to life? And this is like natural a little bit. I've always been a natural organizer or doer. And so when I know where the big goal is, it comes quite naturally for me to work backwards in those little steps. I would say the harder part for me is actually thinking of that big plan or idea, or being creative and thinking outside the box that I can achieve that. So for me, it's about taking those little steps. If there's a big YouTube video that I want to put out, what's the backward steps I have to do to achieve that? So I've got like a production editing checklist that always helps me make my way through editing a video. If I want to film a video, maybe it's producing a script, researching where I'm going to film it, what shots do I want. Even when I do day trip travel vlogs, I think ahead of time, like, okay, I need to get an intro, I need to get an outro, I need to film a crap ton of B-roll, because you can never go back and film that B-roll again. But also just like staying organized. So I use the Notes app on my Apple devices. I use the Reminders app as my main two organization tools. I know some people are really into, like, is it called Airtable? There's Airtable, there's Monday.com, there's Asana, but I don't want to pay for any of them. So I've just utilized Reminders and Notes, and those are my main two ways to stay organized for everything. Spreadsheets are also my jam. So recording hours, habits, tracking anything you need, packing lists, like doing all those. I love how you can sort through lists in Excel sheets. So yeah, it's kind of like, even when I think of this next travel moment, it feels a bit overwhelming, because, you know, that phrase, like, the world's your oyster, it really feels like that. And there's so many choices out there, but I just need to move step by step. So like September, then October, then November, what is life looking like then? Or I know I want to do 1, 2, 3. When should I do 1, 2, 3? Also on that note, if you are wanting to travel, and especially travel solo and travel more affordably, I've done a few volunteer experiences through the platform World Packers. So that was introduced to me last May by a friend. I had no clue what this platform was. Fast forward May, I learned about it. July, I did my first experience. November, I did my second, and then I just did my third and fourth this past year. It's a really great way to get free accommodation, sometimes also free food, but nonetheless, you get to slow travel. So you get to live in a location and experience it for up to a month, 2 months, depending on the host and the situation. It's like one of my favorite ways to just like feel relaxed. And also, digital nomad, it allows me a bit more consistent of a schedule, so then I can fit in my personal work versus the volunteering work within the day, and then like plan travel around that. How do you know when to enjoy the moment versus when to capture? This one's hard, and this one is one I wish everyone talked about so I would know their answer too. I think for me, I definitely know the days I'm filming. So sometimes I just don't film. Like if I do a day trip and I'm just not in the mood, or don't have the energy for it, or I'm just like not excited about necessarily where I'm going, I won't film. And that's not to say I should film the bad too. I totally believe in this. And I kind of regret like my time in Albania. I didn't film anything because just the mood was off, and it, you know, my living and working situation was causing me a lot of stress, and I felt very busy. But I do wish I picked the camera up at some point to kind of piece together a storyline and to share these kind of in-between moments. But often I will like film the moment first, and then I will literally put it down and just enjoy it. So if it's a sunset, it's like get that 3-second B-roll clip and then put it away and just be present. And definitely harder to do in the North American culture, just to like sit and be present. But
wash after wash, metal penetrates inside your hair. Innovation, metal detox. Remove metal for 97% less hair breakage. True to tone, long lasting.
Oh, that was weird. Hopefully I'm still live. There was like an app playing in the background on my phone. Anyway, that's kind of trippy. I don't even know where I was. Anyway, it's hard to enjoy the moment, but I just think really be present. Devices definitely are the most distraction. Solo traveling, you definitely are living more in the present because you're by yourself. So if you are with a group of people, just like I find you can get distracted and be enjoying the banter so much, but just take a moment for yourself. Like walk away from the group for a second, enjoy the architecture, come back to the group, take time for yourself. Plans to go to Saudi Arabia? Not right now. Just haven't done any research, don't have any people there. Yeah, it's not on the bucket list right now. All right. Well, if you joined towards the end, hello, people who are watching. I did share an announcement earlier that I'm officially monetized on YouTube. So that was the big announcement I wanted to share. And also I wanted to answer your questions live about being a solo traveler and digital nomad person. And it's been really fun to answer all these questions. So hopefully I'm live. I did answer this question earlier, Rob, but I am traveling back to Europe to explore more of it. There are so many countries I still want to see. Mostly Eastern Europe is my plan of where I want to go, but I don't know where the future holds, so the book's kind of open. Definitely want to see some of my international friends. I will be in Italy for a little bit to celebrate a birthday. So yeah, there's some exciting things. And then another question, which always, what did I take in university? So I do have a university degree. I did my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in 4 years in Vancouver, BC, and my degree is in dance, actually. And I always get mixed reactions on that. Sometimes it's like, oh, and there's judgment of like, what if it's legit, and then there's also like, whoa, that's so cool, I didn't know you could do that. So yeah, you can do that. It's a full Bachelor of Fine Arts, and you do have to take electives. So I've taken psychology, kinesiology, math. I actually took a lot of math, English. It's been a while, I can't remember exactly. Yeah, so that was my degree. If you have any extra questions, my Instagram DMs are always open to help support you. I also do one-on-one travel advice. So if you're booking a trip, thinking of booking a trip in the middle of planning, or you're in the trip, or you're coming off the trip, there's also this like anticlimactic coming home piece. I'm always available to help support you. Thank you so much for joining this live video. In the description below will be the link for the eSIM and the volunteer experiences I mentioned in this video. And until then, I'll catch you in the next video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching, everyone.